Roderick Talley is a black man who used to live in Little Rock, Arkansas, but he has moved to Mississippi following a no-knock raid that happened in his home years ago. He is now suing the authorities as a result of this raid because they lied in an affidavit and he actually has the evidence to prove it. So he recalled how police used explosives to enter his apartment actually last August and ultimately unsuccessfully searched for cocaine. So they were looking for cocaine, they found no cocaine. And the way that they did this was through something known as a no-knock arrest warrant. And it was obtained under false pretenses. So what were those false pretenses? So let's go to the police affidavit, all right? In this affidavit, officers filed to search Talley's apartment. Police say that they sent an informant to his door with $100 to buy cocaine. Now, the three officers said they observed the door open and saw the informant have a conversation with someone in the apartment. Later, the informant explained that he purchased cocaine from two black men at Talley's address. Except none of that happened, and we know that based on the surveillance that Talley has. He has a camera set up just outside his door. And if you look at the next video, you will see that no one opens the door.
Okay, so this is the time that he theoretically did the deal according to the informant. And what they say is that the cops witnessed this happening. Okay, but as you're seeing in this video, he never opens the door. Okay, it goes unanswered. And the informant starts to talk to himself, and a cop later writes down, oh yeah, I saw the deal happen. But there is no deal. There is no deal. Wait till you see the video of what he's got recorded inside, okay? And there's a great irony to why he was recording both outside and inside his house.
Okay, so let's go to the next video. And by the way, just to be clear with you guys, full disclosure, the video is long, so we did speed it up, but we didn't edit anything out of it. You're seeing everything in context.
Like we didn't edit out the part where he actually does talk to him.
Exactly.
Right.
Like we're not being misleading or anything. We just want to speed up the video so you can see the full context. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so as you can see, again, surveillance outside of his door. Someone with the authorities takes a photo of the outside of his door, but no one opens the door inside the apartment. No one sells drugs. Nothing like that happens. Okay.
So the cop did not see any transaction.
Exactly.
He comes and takes a picture anyway. He's like, we're gonna bust this guy's door open. But they don't just ram the door open and they don't knock. It's a no knock by definition. They blow the door open with an explosive.
Yep. In fact, all right. Again, there was no transaction. Okay, so there was no probable cause. They had no right to a no-knock warrant. But it didn't matter. They made things up in that affidavit in order to get the no-knock warrant, and it resulted in this. And it's terrifying. So they used an explosive device to get into the apartment. 11 cops show up. And they raid the apartment, and guess what they found? They found no cocaine. No cocaine. But I mean, they could have easily killed him. And luckily they didn't.
He's under the door, by the way. He was sleeping on the couch, and they blew the door off onto him. And what's amazing is this looks like Fallujah, right? These guys come in heavily militarized, and they don't find anything. They actually find the guy under the door, and they don't care. Well, I thought you were in big danger. Well, why you've actually found the so-called suspect? Why aren't you then taking precautions, etc.? They want to have fun. They want to bust people. They want to meet their quotas, etc. And they want to blow people's doors off. You know that afterwards, they don't pay for the doors, even if the guy's innocent. So it costs them like $1,500 to replace. There's one lady had her front door and her back door blown off, and she doesn't have enough money. She replaced the front door, but now the back door just has cardboard on it, okay? Which, by the way, encourages crime.
Exactly.
And now you want to hear the irony of why Roderick Talley was taping even inside his own house? Because robbers had come in, and he wanted to catch the robbers. So he actually needed the cops. But the cops didn't care to actually do their job and protect him. Instead, they blew his door off, and they could have easily killed him if the door had hit him in the wrong way. And then, even though they knew they had the wrong guy, they arrested him. They said, oh, we found marijuana in his apartment.
So attorney Benjamin Crump is the individual representing Roderick Talley in this lawsuit. You might remember him because he was also the lawyer for Trayvon Martin's family following his death at the hands of Zimmerman, George Zimmerman. So Benjamin Crump actually shared some statistics. They did a Freedom of Information request, and they found some pretty interesting statistics regarding no-knock warrants in Little Rock, Arkansas. And they said that officers used boilerplate language on most of the 133 no-knock warrants, of which 110 were for black citizens. Many of the raids, again, this is according to the attorney, in which the police used explosives to blow up doors, turned up nothing, but residents were left to pay for the damages.
So if you don't know what that boilerplate language means, is that they copied and pasted. So they don't care what's inside. They just want to blow some doors off, make some arrests. They don't care that they're innocent. And the judge, what are you doing? I had Benjamin Crump here yesterday. We did an interview with him on TYT Interviews, which you should check out. And he explained, and I asked him specifically, is there a circumstance where a no-knock warrant is warranted? Yes, a judge can give a no-knock warrant, and it would make sense if you've got a drug kingpin like a Pablo Escobar, and you don't want to knock because he's got 12 guys inside that are, armed, and that's why you blow the door off, right? But it's supposed to be really, really rare. In Little Rock, it's a tiny little town. They've done it over 200 times, and in this case, the same language is used in 133 cases. Yeah, whatever. Who cares? There's no specific. Hey, I know this guy did the X, Y, and Z. I'm just copying and pasting. Let's go blow the guy's doors off. And then coincidentally, out of the 133 times they use the same language, 110 were black guys. Poor black people who have no power. And so it's easy to blow their doors off. And then some right-wingers will turn around and go, well, it didn't happen to me, so I don't believe it. And that's the point. They target poor black people because they know that they're having trouble fighting back. And Benjamin Crump was very honest. He said, look, when Roderick Talley reached out to me, I was skeptical. He's like, because he's in a lot of high-profile cases. He said, thousands of people reach out to me every day and say, I was framed. And he's like, it's often not true, okay? We take very few cases. But when we saw the evidence, it was absolutely clear that the cops lied about seeing a drug transaction that did not happen. He owns a barber shop. So, and we know what Roderick did. He's in a lot of ways an American hero. Initially, he didn't get Crump to represent him because and so he did it himself. He found a way to file a lawsuit, hold him accountable. He found more people that they had done it to. Then Crump sees the video and he goes, okay, wait a minute. Oh my God, you're absolutely right. He comes in and starts defending this guy. How often do they do this throughout the country and you never hear about it? Mm-hmm.
The thing that sticks out to me is that this man is obviously someone who's willing to fight back to a large degree, to go through all the work that he did without a lawyer and to file a case and to find other examples of it. And yet he still felt compelled to leave Little Rock and move back home to family in Mississippi because he's too scared to live there.
I would be terrified.
I would be too.
I mean, someone can suffer a serious heart attack. I mean, he could have died just from
the door.
Yeah, exactly. From projectiles. And by the way, one other thing, you talked about the reaction of some people in the country when the issue of police brutality or excessive force is brought up. One other way that people react to it or respond to it is by slandering the actual victim as someone who hates the cops. But Talley said this, and I thought this quote was telling. I'm not against the police at all. I call the police when stuff happens to me. But bad police, I'm very against. And innocent people going to jail, I'm completely against.
From now on, I'm going to call that the Talley principle. Who could possibly be against that quote, right? I mean, I can't believe we have to explain the most obvious things to people. And that's why this saying is Black Lives Matter. Because it's black folks across this country going, I can't believe I have to say this, but our lives matter too. It's not too much to ask for you to care about our lives. In fact, he said, look, I remember he had called the cops to protect him from the robbers in another instance. That's why he was recording. And he said, but he was disappointed to find out. He showed them the video of how that the guy that had come had never talked to him, right? He said the cops looked at that video and looked at the video of the door getting blown off, and they started laughing. And he said that's when he realized they don't care. My life means nothing to them.
Despite that particular incident, which is, sad, I still believe that most cops are good cops, despite, growing up in New York in the 70s with movies like Serpico. But I knew a lot of cops in New York. I think the inherent issue is what comes down from the top and the systematic incarceration of minorities in this country, especially young black men, and the feeding of the private prison systems. And so this seems to be systematic, where the falsified affidavits were a matter of course, a matter of normal process.
Yeah.
That it happens all the time. Let's figure out a way we can justify busting in this guy's door. And these cops, if they were accountable for that, wouldn't be doing it. So it's coming down from higher up, and it's a systematic issue all across this country.
Well, I'll add a second thing to it, and we talk about this on the show all the time. It's in the training. It's in what they teach the cops. Are cops different than human beings? I think, of course not, right? We're all human, and so what are they teaching them? So in this case, you saw the video, they're teaching them to be the military. But they're not the military, they're cops.
Over cocaine, by the way.
Over what was supposed to be a small cocaine transaction, which they knew was not actually a cocaine transaction. And let's be fair to even those guys in the video. There's 11 guys in there. They don't necessarily all know that it was fake. They might think it's real. The original cop who took the picture of the door, he knows it's fake, right? Now, his bosses know it's fake, but they still keep on doing it. And by the way, a lot of those guys who were framed, they're still in prison. So that's part of what Crump's doing. He's trying to get them out of prison. Well, if you guys have this informant who's an obvious liar, and you use the informant in all these different times, and you've got the boilerplate language you're copying and pasting, how many of these guys are innocent? Now, of course, not every one of them is innocent, but you got to look at all those cases very, very seriously. And we've militarized our police, and overall, I think the number one problem is we've taught them, be afraid of everything. Everything is a threat, and whatever you do, don't say freeze, like, when we were growing up, they'd say freeze. Put your hands up. You're under arrest. No, just blow their doors off with an explosive. Go in there and like it's Ramada and mess them up, right?
There used to be a thing in New York. I got busted into in a rehearsal that I was in. We were rehearsing a play that was about a war. It took place in a war. And we were down in Little Italy, and apparently some cops were driving by, and they thought there was something real happening. They busted into us and took control of that room so professionally that it didn't endanger us. That's the way it can be done.